really strong. At the moment, he does not have access to it because he has a monster in his main monster zone, in his extra monster zone. And there's no topologic Bomber Dragon pointed or anything anymore. But that Master Cerberus already is big now, because people would guess that Master Cerberus maybe gets half of the attack of the Monster Banish, but no, it gets the full attack points. So Master Cerberus there is at 5,800 attack points now, which is a pretty big beater, I guess. So if you just have a way to get over that Nightmare and have another monster which is like 2,200 attack points, you already have game on board.
That thing beats Utopia the Lightning.
It does indeed.
So, as the expert on Endymion, how do you think does Marvin progress from this point?
I think
going into Electromite?
Yeah,
that's always a good play in Pendulums.
And then
gotta be honest.
All the options. Basically, you can also, at some point then, you can put with Electrum into the extra deck whatever you want. Let's see, what is the best option right there?
Kirin.
Kirin would be a good option if it's still available, because it could just bounce the Nightmare, of course. But I think at the moment, Jackal King or the Master of Endymion might be the best choices. Also, he actually activated the Garuda, and it is pretty important that Garuda is a level 4, meaning he has access to Abyss Dweller if he wants to, by just sending another level 4 to the extra deck.
He immediately Pendulum summoned, right? I don't think that he searched anything with Electromite, but I see no harm in it because there are no cards in the hand of Alexandre.
Really? There's no card in hand, so he has nothing to fear. There's no Ogre to be thrown on the search effect.
There's the Magical Citadel. From the top.
Maybe it must be that Marvin just knows that he has OTK right there, right? There's a Boral Sword already on board for him if he wants to have it.
Yeah.
And he still has that Magister with 3 counters now, so he just needs to activate another card. There it is. So he has enough counters to resolve the Magister 2 now. But for now, he still has no actual zone to special summon into. But he can go into Boral Sword
if he has Boral Sword, yeah, then he can special summon something. He just needs to find a sufficient way to get rid of the Nightmare if he goes into Boral Sword play. Because otherwise,
that is no Boral Sword OTK yet.
Yeah.
You're
so
right.
Deco Talker, that's a lot of attack.
Deco Talker gets buffed as well. I don't think he needs Boral Sword at all because he has Master Cerberus as well, and he can use its effect as well. It's not once per turn for that card alone. So that Nightmare will be banished as well.
Wow. And Deco Talker is huge. This thing is at 3,300 attack points. Just a quick swipe with his hands. This Garuda putting in work.
Oh boy, Alexandre just counting the numbers, probably realizing that that is OTK. All this mythical beast, it was basically
the Gizmek Orochi.
Oh, it's still there. But he has Jackal King, and that means this is game right there.
Indeed it
We
is.
see why Marvin is so confident in his own deck. Why this deck is so strong. There we are back on the screen again.
Post-match discussion. Wow. Marvin basically probably securing his place in the top 32 cut already.
Because his tiebreak is so amazing. He just defeated all the XO guys, and now he's one of the only guys being XO in the tournament left. I think at table 1 and 2, he was playing table 3, so 1 and 2 had 4 players being XO, so we probably have 3 players being XO after this round.
He was even the first place after Swiss.
Yeah.
So, wow. Pretty convincing with a, let's say, off-meta roguish pick.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it was insane.
It was absolutely insane. He just destroyed his opponent in 2 turns. Like,
yeah, but, like in game 2.
Yeah.
Game 1 would have been really close. I don't know if he would have won that versus a Orcust with a skeleton. Yeah, that hurt so much. But that's the risk of playing cards like that. Yeah. This is something that I've seen from many Sky Striker players as well. Going for the gamble, I've seen some players activating Desires before they did engage, just to get a draw, and then risking to banish the multi-roll. That's something I do not really support. But
so
I mean,
risky,
he had
right?
no other choice. He couldn't get into his skeleton. He had to go for the route where he goes into return to draw into cards that he can actually use. And yeah, the cards that he could use were Gizmek Orochi, the Serpentron, Skyslayer. I'm really having issues with his name.
It's just the Gizmek Orochi. Everybody knows which card it is by then.
It's Gizmek.
So we saw Orcust at table 3. Do you think we should just look into our metagame analysis a little bit? So we will just bring up the deck statistic for round 1 first, so we can go back a little and see how the start of the tournament looked.
Yeah.
And as we already told you guys, Sky Striker was the most played deck at the start.
I mean, it's now like really easy accessible for everyone after the
gold sacrifice. Tins really did a good job of having all these cards being common now. That's really favorable. And we see Orcust sitting in second place, being ready to take over. And let's just see how that shaped out up to round number 9 now, because we have a new leader.
Wow.
Let's see. Orcust did it with very good fashion. There are 2 spots above Sky Striker. And yeah, we saw Orcust in the feature match losing. But let's see, who's the real big number at the screen right there at the moment?
Other.
There
are still 112 others in competition. You don't know if they are still really in competition. I mean, you know that there are some, because we just saw Endymion, which would count as Pendulum, I think. Let's see, we have the deck list right here. Did they count it as other?
It says Endymion, and we have it as other in our system. I saw it being other, for sure.
Perfect.
So there's a lot to come from that other category. So I guess you guys can expect a lot of cool feature matches coming up. Also seeing the Luna Orcust deck climbing a little. And I think the conversion rate of that deck is pretty good too. It was, I think, like 80 players actually entered the event with Luna.
I think it was over 100. We can
check
100? We can check that. Go back to it.
It was 100, okay. Yeah, like 100, right? So still a pretty good 40% conversion rate, around 40%. Like Sky Striker just had a third of his decks converting, so that's not too optimal. Yeah, but Orcust may be the deck to beat for day number 2 of the event. So I guess with these words, we should say thank you for this round, guys, and we will head it over to JJ for the winner's interview with Marvin.
So I'm right here with the winner of round 9. You know, Marvin, like, how are you feeling after that victory, actually?
I feel, of course, pretty good, because now I'm quite safe in the tops, and yeah, that was my goal for this weekend.
Okay, so then the matchup, we were just discussing the matchup a little bit, like, you know, between Orcust and Pendulum. You was kind of saying, I was more or less agreeing with you that it depends on different versions of Orcust, maybe like Luna-like Orcust or Pure. The Pure Orcust does have a bit more of a difficult time versus Pendulum. Why do you think that is?
I think if they don't play the going second variant, then they normally cannot break my board. Both games I start with Time Gazer Magician, so I couldn't build the strong board that I want usually. But yeah, it wasn't the going second Orcust variant with like 60 cards, and yeah, I didn't see hand traps, so that's usually pretty good for my deck, and yeah.
Okay, so then you've been playing this deck a relatively long time. You've been taking it to a decent amount of regionals and stuff. A few of the casters and a few of the duelists that I spoke to as well said you've been playing this for a bit. How do you feel that this deck is positioned? Of course, you've taken down round 9, but how do you feel on a whole that this deck is now for you, actually?
Okay, at first I'm playing this deck since like April. And yeah, I built a pure Endymion variant from the start, because I don't think that the Darkworm engine is as strong as most of the players think, because it loses to like Dweller and Called by the Grave. So game 1, if I go second, then it's really hard to break boards with this deck, except you include bricks like Memory or something. Yeah, and what was your second question? I'm sorry.
No, don't worry about it. But, you know, you also told me you wanted to give a small shout because you had probably a friend watching you, right?
Yeah, I think I have some friends watching from university, so hi to Luca, and as well to my friends that didn't make it this weekend here, so hi to Kerem, Enes, and Yanis.
Okay, so there we have it. Marvin taking down round 9, more or less securing his spot into the top 32. Maybe one more win to go to kind of really clinch it out. But thank you, Marvin, for showing up. No, No problem. Thank you for stopping by. And there is more coverage after this.